Alright, yet another intriguing, young, athletic, and not to mention freak athlete just hit the open market. That player being KJ Martin, son of former NBA player Kenny Martin. You know, last week we talked about Keon Johnson, waived by the Brooklyn Nets and the current record holder for the highest ever recorded vertical leap at the NBA Draft Combine, recording a 48-inch, and yes, a 48-inch vertical at the Draft Combine, again the highest ever recorded. And now joining him in the open market does happen to be KJ Martin, an absolutely elite athlete himself. Now maybe he doesn't have a 48-inch vertical, but he's still an elite athlete by any standard. Probably a top 5, if not bare minimum top 10 athlete in the NBA. I mean, when he gets going in the open court, he can put on an absolute show out there. And well, unlike Keon Johnson, who's kind of only had one good year in the NBA, KJ Martin has definitely shown many more flashes, has had multiple good years in the NBA, is coming off a rather poor one and probably his worst, if not one of his worst in the NBA. And despite only being 24 years old yet, he does have 5 years of NBA background, which is really both a pro and a con for him at this point too. The pro of it being that he again has NBA background to point to, has played for a few good teams, and has shown improvement in some areas, albeit some regression too, mainly in 3-point shooting. But the con being that he's no longer two-way contract eligible, despite being as young as a guy like Dalton Knecht for example, nearly the same age. And not only that, but if he doesn't have a two-way contract, which again he's not eligible for, it might be hard for him to get back on an NBA team, especially through an actual 15-man roster spot. And well, there's simply not many of them left at this point. After being waived from the Utah Jazz in literally late September now, 1 week prior to training camp, I'm not sure any team will give him a 15-man roster spot, let alone a guaranteed contract. So if he's not getting that, isn't two-way contract eligible, the last resort for him will be a training camp deal, aka an Exhibit 10 contract. And well, if he does want to get back to his home state, was born in California and did play a majority of his high school ball in California at IMG Academy, if he maybe wants to get closer to family, and he does have to get a training camp deal or accept a training camp deal, I wouldn't be shocked if he'd take one with the Los Angeles Lakers. And yes, they currently do have a full training camp roster, having a full 21 of 21 eligible spots taken, but with an Exhibit 10 contract, you can simply waive it for no cap casualty. No, it wouldn't count against the first apron. Exhibit 10 contracts at the absolute most are only 50k to maybe 75k, so no, it wouldn't be a financial problem for them. They could waive somebody like RJ Davis, Augustas Marciulionis, Arthur Kluma, Eric Dixon. I mean, take your pick between them if they wanted to. I'd personally go the route of RJ Davis or Marciulionis, given that they have plenty of backcourt depth and they don't really have a shot to make the team in my opinion, not much of one anyway. If they would want to waive one of them and then extend a two-way or rather an Exhibit 10 contract to KJ Martin, they could go that route. And in my opinion, that would be an absolute great move for them to make. No, they might not be eligible to sign him right now to a 15-man roster spot, but they can later on this season. And if you would take a training camp deal with them, possibly if he even can't get a deal after that point and play with their G League team, then he definitely can have a pathway to that final spot on their 15-man roster. Or maybe even before that, if they would make a trade and offload some cap space or rather get further below the first apron and keep a roster spot open while doing it, then maybe you could have a viable pathway through that kind of route too. Again, it's not ideal for KJ Martin. Obviously you'd like to have a 15-man roster spot and obviously would take one rather than a training camp deal. But again, at this point he's not in a great place to be picky. Probably isn't going to get a 15-man roster spot. Even if he would, it would be a non-guaranteed contract, so he probably could get waived again prior to training camp or by the end of training camp. So if he does want to come back to his home state, a team that might want to make him a reclamation project, a team that's willing to take on reclamation projects, the Lakers have done so with plenty of guys in the past half-decade now, I wouldn't be shocked if they tried again with KJ Martin. But with all of that being said, what do you guys think? How do you feel about KJ Martin hitting the open market? And if he does in fact clear waivers, do you think the Lakers should try and sign him? Do you think he would be their pick and that it could be a good fit between them? Or would you maybe stay away from him for some reason? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one. And if you enjoyed the video, then I'll greatly appreciate it if you drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.